They started to mount the attack. They started swinging the sword. Blood flowed. Jesus got out of being bound up, fixed it, and they realized, uh-oh, we're in trouble. Jesus is going to be arrested. He's not fighting back. And they take off and they run. Well, somewhere outside, just right outside the glare of the torches that they have, is this guy. We don't know who he is. The Bible doesn't say. Many people think it's probably John Mark, the guy who wrote the book of Mark. But whoever he was, he's standing right on the edge of the shadows, watching all this. And he thinks he can see him. He's kind of trying to hide in between the trees, you know, but trying to see what's happening because he's concerned because that's Jesus and he's being arrested and what's going on. And everybody else leaves, but he thinks, I can hide right back here. I'm okay. But you know what? The crowd is pumped up. They're out at night. It's late at night, and they're going to go get somebody, and it's going to be fun, and they're going to arrest somebody, and I don't really know what's going on, but we're with a bunch of guys, and we got torches, and we're going to go run. And the adrenaline is pumping, and they're pumped up. There's something scary about a bunch of guys pumped up at night, running around with torches. That's why women aren't going on the night retreat at all, the boot camp at all, because they're pumped up, so they're all kind of milling around, and this is kind of an anti-climax because, you know, Jesus is like, all right, okay, ready to go. We wanted some fight. We wanted something going on. I was going to get somebody tonight, and this is kind of boring. And so they're looking around, and suddenly they see this thing move in the trees. So a couple of them run over and going to grab him. The guy's looking over there. Jesus doesn't see the guys coming from over here. Suddenly looks over. Ow! He starts to turn and run, and they grab his shirt. The guy was running towards me. He got close, and I reached out and grabbed his arm. You ever grabbed somebody by their arm that wanted to get away? It's not terribly effective. He just pulled, ran, got in his car. Oh man, I should have like bear hugged him, thrown him to the ground. He's a little guy. I'm a big fat dude. I can take him down. My wife's like, oh, that's probably better because he might have had a knife and then he'd be in trouble, stabbed and stuff. They got him eventually. Anyway, try to grab him. He peels away and he keeps running because that terror, that fear drives you. You get pretty strong. And he's running. They run over and they grab this guy who's hiding back in the shadows. Verse 53, one young man following behind was clothed only in a long linen shirt. When the mob tried to grab him, he slipped out of his shirt and ran away naked. And here's where my picture comes, because they run and he sees them and they grab him and they just get a handful of shirt, but they got him, yeah! And I see him bending over and just backing out of that long shirt and snap. Shirt over his head. In my mind's eye is this picture, this snapshot of somebody who could have had one of the biggest moments in the entire story. Why is this story in the Bible? It's only in the book of Mark. It's only 2 verses long, but yet it's in here. I'll tell you what, I believe that man had an opportunity that day to have the co-starring role in the events of that weekend. No. Imagine what it would have been. Imagine what our Bibles would read. Imagine what history would say about this man if he would have gone to trial with Jesus. Imagine if they would have arrested him and he would have stood up next to Jesus. As Pilate said, I don't find any fault in this man, and I don't know why you guys even have him here. This other guy here. He would have gone down in history as the guy who stood by Jesus. Instead, he's known as the guy who ran naked through the city streets. Which is pretty difficult to explain when you get home. What happened to your shirt? Long story. Instead, he's the one that's exposed. Instead of being the one who stood by. You may be facing right now in your life the opportunity of a lifetime that God is presenting to you, but it has the greatest fear ever. Some of you in this last series that we've gone through have uncovered wounds, and it is scary to enter into the wound and allow God to do the healing, because He's going to dig down into it. He's going to dig all that nastiness up. He's going to bring healing, but you're going to do everything you can to avoid it because it's painful. You're going to let yourself get busy, distracted in relationships, doing whatever, because it's really scary to go face to face with that pain. But I'm telling you right here, in the moment of the greatest fear is the greatest opportunity in your life. To face that fear and to let it go into the hands of Jesus, to stand up when you're afraid, to take that leap of faith that God's calling you to, that you're not ready to sign that commitment and say, you know what, I'm going to make the experience a priority in my life financially because I believe in this ministry, to do whatever it is that God's calling you to do, takes an enormous leap of faith, an enormous risk. But with the greatest risk and the greatest fear comes the greatest opportunity. Joel and Tanya, you guys are getting married tomorrow. I hope you're at least a little bit scared. Not of the wedding, but because you're marrying that person sitting next to you. That's a problem. Because you're walking into one of the greatest opportunities of your life. And to get here, you probably have to go through some fear. And God's going to give you, and you're going to hit in your relationships in times that are something scary. Couples, married people, how many of you hit a point in your relationship that was really scary? I saw people didn't raise their hand. I'd already called some people down. Anyway, because I know you're scary. No. You're going to hit some moments that are frightening, really scary. But in that moment comes the greatest opportunity for growth in your relationship. And you got to walk out on the other side as you face those fears. God, I think, leaves this short little story, this snapshot that I have of a man with his shirt halfway off his head. Because some of us face those fears on a daily basis. Some of us have faced the fear for a long time and haven't been willing to take a step through it. And we're still running scared. The last snapshot that I have to use today, last snapshot rather after crucifixion today. I'm going to take a little bit of a step back to truly understand what crucifixion meant. Because again, we have watered it down into something palatable. I love our cross here. It looked nothing like that. It looked nothing like those crosses. It looked nothing like that cross. There's different ways that they crucified somebody. That type of a configuration, a T shape, was one way. Sometimes the crossbeam was at the top, and they were suspended from the top. Some of them were done in the shape of an X, and you were spread out on the X. Many times crucifixions had a small seat in them to prolong the suffering. They were made a horrendous way to die. And they were reserved specifically for pirates.